The United States has maintained a vast military presence in the Middle East for decades. This military footprint is a cornerstone of American foreign policy, shaping the region's politics and conflicts. The buildup surged after events like the 1991 Gulf War and the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Today, the U.S. network of bases allows rapid military action anywhere in the region. The Middle East's oil reserves and strategic location make it vital to the global economy. The U.S. military is there to protect interests, support allies, and counter threats. Some see the American presence as stabilizing, others view it as an occupation. The presence of U.S. troops is both a source of stability and tension. The American military's role in the Middle East is constantly debated. The situation remains complex and controversial. Understanding where these troops are and what they do is key to understanding the Middle East today. The following scenes will explore the scope, purpose, and consequences of America's long shadow in the Middle East. The exact number of U.S. troops in the Middle East is hard to pin down, but estimates range from 40 to 60,000. These forces are spread across many countries and include all branches of the military. Bases range from sprawling installations to small outposts, sometimes called lily pads. Counting every site, the U.S. operates hundreds of bases in the region. Each base serves a different purpose: air, naval, army, or intelligence. Major air bases launch fighter jets and drones, naval bases support warships, army posts house ground troops, secret sites host special operations and intelligence missions. This network gives the U.S. military flexibility and reach. Maintaining these troops and bases costs billions annually. Expenses cover salaries, housing, equipment, fuel, and construction. The financial burden is a major issue for American taxpayers. Some argue the money could be better spent at home. Others see the investment as essential for national security. The debate over costs and benefits is ongoing. The sheer scale of the U.S. presence is unmatched by any other country. This military infrastructure is a powerful tool and a source of controversy. The decision to keep such a large footprint is deeply political. It shapes U.S. policy and the region's future. The next scenes will show where these troops are and what their presence means. U.S. troops are concentrated in a handful of key Middle Eastern countries. The largest numbers are in Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates, strategic partners with formal agreements. These Gulf states host some of the world's most important U.S. bases. Jordan is another vital partner, hosting significant U.S. forces. In Iraq and Syria, U.S. troops focus on training and advising local forces against ISIS. Smaller numbers are stationed in Saudi Arabia, Oman, and Turkey. Each country hosts different types of U.S. military power. Qatar has the region's largest U.S. air base. Bahrain is home to the Navy's Fifth Fleet. Kuwait is a major hub for Army ground forces. This distribution is carefully planned for maximum flexibility. The network allows rapid movement of troops and equipment. Drones, spy planes, and satellites provide constant surveillance. This forward presence means the U.S. is always close to potential conflict zones. The goal is to deter enemies and reassure allies, but it also puts U.S. troops on the front lines of any new crisis. The map of bases is a web of power and vulnerability. The U.S. military's reach is vast, but so are the risks. The next scenes will look at the specific roles of these bases. Each location has its own strategic importance. Bahrain is the nerve center for U.S. naval operations in the Middle East. The Navy's Fifth Fleet, based here, oversees vital shipping lanes in the Persian Gulf, Red Sea, and Arabian Sea. About 9,000 U.S. personnel are stationed in Bahrain, supporting warships and ensuring freedom of navigation. Kuwait is the main hub for U.S. Army ground forces. Camp Arifjan and Ali al-Salam Air Base are the largest U.S. facilities. Around 13,500 troops are stationed here. Camp Arifjan is a massive logistics and staging area, pre-positioned for rapid deployment, saving critical time in a crisis. Troops in Kuwait constantly train for a range of scenarios. Their presence deters aggression and supports U.S. operations across the region. Bahrain and Kuwait are cornerstones of U.S. military strategy in the Gulf, allowing the U.S. to project power quickly and maintain a constant presence. Qatar's Al Udeid Air Base is the U.S. Air Force's main hub in the Middle East. It's the command center for all regional air operations, with around 10,000 personnel. Al Udeid launches bombers, cargo planes, drones, and refueling tankers. The Combined Air Operations Center coordinates thousands of flights and missions daily. Drones and surveillance aircraft are often controlled from here. Jordan is another key ally, sharing borders with Iraq, Syria, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. The U.S. stations about 3,000 troops in Jordan, mainly at Muwafaq Salti Air Base. These forces train Jordanian soldiers and support operations against ISIS. The U.S. presence in Jordan provides a stable platform in a volatile region. From here, the U.S. can respond quickly to crises in Syria or Iraq. The partnership helps Jordan secure its borders and modernize its military. For the U.S., Jordan is a vital intelligence and special operations hub. Air power and strategic partnerships give the U.S. unmatched reach. These bases are essential for rapid response and regional stability, but they also tie the U.S. to the region's conflicts and risks. The U.S. military presence in Iraq and Syria is focused on fighting ISIS, not on large-scale occupation. After ISIS seized territory in 2014, the U.S. led a coalition to help local forces push them back. Operation Inherent Resolve is the ongoing mission to advise, assist, and train Iraqi and Syrian partners. About 2,500 U.S. troops remain in Iraq, based on an agreement with the Iraqi government. Their presence is controversial and often targeted by Iran-backed militias. In Syria, around 900 U.S. troops operate without the Syrian government's permission. They support the Syrian Democratic Forces, the main partner against ISIS. Bases like Al-Tanf block Iranian supply routes and provide strategic leverage. The mission is in transition. ISIS has lost territory but remains a threat. Political pressure to withdraw is growing in both Iraq, and the U.S. troops face constant threats from militias and terrorists. Their small numbers make them vulnerable. The future of the U.S. presence in Iraq and Syria is uncertain. Decisions in Washington and local politics will determine what comes next. The mission could end, shift, or escalate at any time. These deployments are a flashpoint for regional and domestic debate. The risks are high and the outcomes are unpredictable. The U.S. must balance counterterrorism with political realities. The next scene will show how quickly tensions can escalate. Embassy evacuations and rising fears are a constant backdrop. Tensions in the Middle East can escalate overnight, putting U.S. personnel at risk. On June 10, 2025, the U.S. evacuated non-essential embassy staff from several countries due to immediate threats. This move signals a serious deterioration in security. The main driver: rising tensions with Iran and stalled nuclear talks. Iran's support for regional militias increases the danger to U.S. troops and diplomats. Intelligence warnings prompted the embassy evacuations. Israel, a close U.S. ally, has threatened to act against Iran's nuclear program, raising fears of a wider war. Any conflict could quickly draw in U.S. forces and bases. Iran has warned it would retaliate against U.S. targets if attacked. U.S. troops across the region are on high alert, increasing security and preparing for possible attacks. The Fifth Fleet and air bases are ready for rapid response. Every base becomes a potential target in a crisis. The network meant to provide security can also pull the U.S. deeper into conflict. Rising tensions highlight the risks of a large military footprint. The situation is volatile and unpredictable. U.S. leaders must constantly weigh the dangers. The next scene explores why the U.S. stays despite these risks. The U.S. keeps its military in the Middle East for four main reasons. First, to protect the free flow of oil, vital to the global economy. The Navy secures shipping lanes and deters disruptions. Second, to support allies like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Jordan, and Israel. U.S. troops reassure these partners and help maintain regional balance. Third, counterterrorism, fighting groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS before they can threaten the U.S. or its allies. Bases launch drone strikes, gather intelligence, and support special operations. The missions in Iraq and Syria are prime examples. Fourth, to contain Iran's influence. Since 1979, the U.S. has viewed Iran as a destabilizing force. The ring of U.S. bases is meant to deter Iranian aggression. These four reasons, oil, allies, counterterrorism, and containing Iran, form the foundation of U.S. strategy. The presence is meant to project power and prevent crises, but it also creates new risks and challenges. The debate over staying or leaving is ongoing. Each reason is contested at home and abroad. The next scene looks at the uncertain future of this strategy. The stakes for the region and the U.S. are high. The U.S. maintains a vast military network across the Middle East, with tens of thousands of troops on hundreds of bases. This presence is designed to protect energy supplies, support allies, fight terrorism, and contain Iran. But it comes with high costs and constant risks. Recent embassy evacuations and rising tensions show how quickly conflict can erupt. U.S. troops are on the front lines, vulnerable to attack and political backlash. In places like Iraq, the American presence is deeply unpopular, fueling calls for withdrawal. Decisions in Washington can shift the balance of power overnight. Leaders must weigh strategic benefits against financial costs and risks to lives. The impact on local populations and regional politics is profound. The debate over America's role in the Middle East is far from settled. Some argue for continued engagement. Others call for a reduced footprint and more diplomacy. The current strategy faces major challenges as tensions remain high. The future of U.S. troops and the region's stability depends on choices made in the coming months and years. The stakes are enormous for both the Middle East and the United States. The story of America's long shadow in the region is still being written.